Master Yoda sent me.
I never know what to expect where Ahsoka Tano is concerned.
Fulcrum.
Ahsoka. My name is Ahsoka Tano.
It was hard in the beginning, I think, because Ahsoka was this young girl character, and we're taking one of the most iconic characters in fandom, Anakin Skywalker, and we're saying, oh yeah, but what you didn't know is that
Anakin Skywalker has a Padawan, and it's a 14-year-old girl. And at the time, that blew people's minds.
So you don't trust me to get the job done right? I knew it.
And I hope to be accepted by the fans. I mean, I know I'm new, but I hope they enjoy Ahsoka and look forward to her future trials and tribulations.
she was very precocious. There were so many things stacked up against Ahsoka in the beginning. And I think what became fascinating about Ahsoka was how she earned her credibility. She had to fight for it with the fans.
Ahsoka definitely had her haters. There were a lot of people that felt she was too snippy, that she was disrespectful, that she was bratty, and I knew that we were going to go on this long journey and this long arc with her.
I think when we changed her from 14 to 16, it transformed her from this precocious young kid to one of a young, responsible Jedi. When she showed that she deeply cared about Anakin Skywalker, it was almost like showing that she deeply cared about that part of Star Wars that the fans love. She became the lens for the fans, especially for the young fans.
Ahsoka was also the first female Jedi that was a lead in the Star Wars universe.
Ahsoka was kind of in this zone that only Leia and Padme had occupied before her, but Ahsoka was the one that was going to actually carry a lightsaber and really battle with the boys up front.
When Ahsoka walked away from the Jedi Order, even though they were sad episodes, they were some of my fondest memories.
And when she was gone, it was really fascinating to watch the reaction from a group of people that were saying, why do we have this character with Anakin Skywalker to why is she gone? And in part, I think the reason they were so upset was they were like, wait, but now how is this story going to continue with this character? You mean she's done? The biggest question I had when I started working on Star Wars Rebels is, what has happened to Ahsoka Tano? What has happened to Ahsoka Tano? And then when she came back, that really blew us away.
It was pure joy. I mean, people were crying. It was unreal.
I'm really looking forward to seeing Ahsoka Tano.
I loved seeing Ahsoka. We are so excited right now.
Ahsoka in Clone Wars was more like Ezra. She was the student. She was the Padawan. Now she's more of like the mentor and the teacher. She's more like Obi-Wan or Yoda.
She's the Jedi mentor. She's the advisor. She's the wise one. And in this time, she's very much the great warrior. And now in Season 2, she's very much trying to figure out what Ezra and Kanan are about, but she's also trying to figure out what the dark side of the Force is up to.
How much does Ahsoka know? And I think the answer is there's a lot she doesn't know. I think she has some suspicions.
Because there's a nagging feeling in the back of her mind that has some connection to her.
And those questions keep her moving forward.
And a lot of fans are already obsessed with this idea of Vader versus Ahsoka. 1-to-1, could Anakin Skywalker defeat Ahsoka? Yeah, absolutely he could, because he taught her. When you get to Ahsoka, she's very powerful because of her relationship to Anakin Skywalker. Vader would look at Ahsoka and want to destroy her because she is a living memory of everything he once was and everything he once had.
I haven't sensed a presence like that since
the Clone Wars. What I didn't realize is the generation of people that would literally grow up with Ahsoka, and also the emotional attachment that we would all feel towards Ahsoka.
her story had to be important enough to bring her into the story of the Rebels. The parts with her are going to, in my mind, be very meaningful. Star Wars seems to be forever. It's a universe now where people go. And I think the newer characters and the younger generations that have grown up love their characters. And Ahsoka is now one of those characters.
Hey, Ashley, what have you got me into here? Because I was like, can you want to just sit and talk about Ahsoka with like 10 to 25 people? And now I'm looking out and you're wondering, who's that? And I'm going to tell you, I'm, among other things, Ashley's friend. We're working on some stuff for her Universe Press together that we're very excited about. My name is Anne Convery, and I am Dave Filoni's wife. So, thank you for your support. It's not easy. So.
And we can say all this because he's not here.
I know. He let us come, just us two. And we tried to get him to give us questions to ask and like things that we should talk about. And then in a very Jedi mind trick kind of mood, I think, he was like, you guys know what you're doing. And I don't think Dave's ever said that to me.
But then he said, don't get me in trouble. But I have to say, Anne, when I did ask her to do this little chat with, a couple people, there was no one better to ask to come here and chat about Ahsoka today, because Anne has been an influence on Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels from the beginning, and several of the strong female characters. Dave has gotten his influence from this one right here. She is the ultimate fangirl to me. She is my fangirl inspiration, and that bird in the finale of Star Wars Rebels is called the Convery, and it's named after Anne. So she has a bird named after her in Star Wars.
It's all right. It's all right. And there's the character named after my fat cat and me, Bo-Katan. Yeah.
Exactly. So this is definitely a Star Wars legend right next to me, and we are excited to talk to you today about Ahsoka.
Hey, Ahsoka.
Thank you for coming.
I wanted to contextualize my journey with Ahsoka, which started before I even knew you, or Dave even really knew you, because it started in a coffee shop in Burbank with Dave doodling on a napkin this little Togruta Padawan that he's like, well, George wants a Togruta, so I think we're going to do this thing, and just trying out different characters and talking about what she would be like, talking about how nervous he was about introducing Anakin Skywalker's 14-year-old snippy Padawan, because these were the things that were being developed about her character. And then Ashley comes on board, and Dave comes home after auditioning all these people and says, so I think we found her. And well, what's she like? Well, first of all, she's possibly the most genuine, kindest person I've ever talked to. And he wanted to bring that to Ahsoka's character. And also, she's real snippy.
Well, you're talking about the accent.
The accent. I'm talking about the accent.
So, first of all, the character of Ahsoka was so top secret. I went into the audition thinking I was auditioning for Padme. And I'm usually pretty positive and optimistic, but I almost didn't go to the audition. I actually called my agent from the parking lot. And I had actually had 5 auditions that day. It was the last of all 5 auditions. They were running an hour late. And they needed a voice match for Natalie Portman. And I kept on trying, and I just didn't sound like Natalie Portman. And so I called my agent, and I said, look, I'm just not right for this. They're running an hour behind. I just don't think I should do the audition. And my agent said, you know what? You never know what could happen. He said, just wait and go in there. And I'm so glad I did, because I said, my first line is Padme, and Dave cut me off. And he was like, no, you don't sound like, Padme. He's like, you sound too young. He said, but there's this 14-year-old girl, and they weren't even advertising for the part. And he's like, but we want you to read for this character. And they asked me to do it in an Icelandic accent. And
Can you imagine?
I can't. I can't even do an Icelandic accent to this day. I was so bad at it. But somehow I got a call back. But they called my agent and they said, we just really need her to practice her Icelandic accent. And so I found like the top dialect coach in all of LA and spent like 4 hours at his house, like mastering an Icelandic accent. So I went back into the callback and I said the first couple lines in like a true Icelandic accent. And Dave stops me and he says, "No, we need you to do it more like an Icelandic accent." And at that point, I'm just baffled and I don't know what to do. And normally I would never talk back to the director, but I didn't know what to do. So I raised my hand and I said, "I'm sorry, but I am doing an Icelandic accent, and I don't know what you want." And
that was the moment he knew.
that was the moment I got the part. Yeah. So I ended up getting a call, and I got the part, and I was shocked. And I was like, how? My Icelandic accent was terrible. And they said, "No, they just want you to use your regular voice. I guess they liked you as you were in between takes and not when you read the script."
Yeah, that was the real audition. And I mean, the thing is about Clone Wars is, Dave and I had met working at Disney Television Animation, and then he had moved to Nickelodeon for Avatar: Last Airbender, and it was, it's awesome. And then he got this call about Clone Wars, which he thought was a prank call, and then it ended up actually being the job. And we had worked in television animation for so long, and we're used to it's a couple years of work. And we made this whole move up to the Bay Area from Los Angeles. And we're like, well, it'll be a good couple of years. It's a cool adventure. And then it's like 10 years later, we're sitting here. And you don't expect to have that kind of run that Clone Wars had. And now the run that Rebels has. And so many talents to carry over from one show to the other. And you don't expect to meet. You meet great people. You meet interesting people. You meet talented people. But you don't expect to meet the unicorn that is Ashley Eckstein, who's just kind of got it all, the talent and the kindness and the strength that I think Ahsoka has and has shown through her growth over the course of now 2 series.
Well, you're very kind.
Sorry. I don't mean to pile on, but I'm so excited to have a microphone and say, "Isn't Ashley great?" That's just what I want to do.
Well, you know what? Thank you very much. But it actually goes back to Ahsoka, because as an actress, you don't ever expect to land a role like Ahsoka Tano. And you don't expect to land a role where, we're going on 10 years. I just hit my 10-year anniversary as the voice of Ahsoka, and because we started recording in 2006. And what I quickly realized, is that I felt like I had won the lottery, and being a part of the Star Wars universe is truly an honor, and it's one I don't take for granted. And I think, as we all know, thank you for coming today. Star Wars is a way of life. It's not. Thank you. I've been a Star Wars fan ever since I can remember. My earliest memory, I was 3 years old, playing Star Wars in my living room with my siblings. We had this orange carpet that was from the 70s and terrible looking, but it looked like Tatooine. So we pretended to be, I didn't want to be Princess Leia, I wanted to be R2-D2. So I've just always been a Star Wars fan, and Ahsoka, I quickly realized, was bigger than just the character. I think she started a movement. If you look back to 2008, that was pre, yes, there was Princess Leia, and yes, there had been Padme, but that was pre-Katniss from the Hunger Games. That was pre-Rey from Star Wars Episode 7. Ahsoka, as we said in the video, was the first Jedi that was a lead in the Star Wars universe. And it was groundbreaking. And I realized that I had to live up to this character, that I didn't want to waste this opportunity, and that there was a lot of good that could be done with this character. And so I've just been trying to do as much as possible with the opportunity that's been given.
No pressure. Not at all.
Well, there was pressure in the beginning because how many people hated Ahsoka Tano in the beginning? I'm sure there was a lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's okay. We're all in this together. But I think that Dave sort of warned you up front. Like, okay, so we're going to introduce this Padawan to Anakin Skywalker, and people are going to say, what is this retconning you're doing? Like, what is happening here? He never had a Padawan, much less a girl who calls him Sky Guy. You know, and so what was that like for you?
You know, it was definitely tough when the Clone Wars movie came out, but I will say, you know, we worked on Clone Wars for 2 years before it actually came out in theaters. So we were an entire season ahead, always, of what, you know, you guys got to see. And so by the time that Clone Wars came out in theaters, we were, you know, 22 episodes ahead. And I knew how far she had come since the film. And I was insanely naive because I was so attached to the character at that point that I wasn't imagining the hate that would come our way. I mean, there were several articles that said, you know, the next Jar Jar, Ahsoka Tano. Yeah.
But it's just because people love it so hard. It's not because they're trying to be mean, you know, but there's so much love and investment in Star Wars, and I think you learned that very quickly, too.
And I learned that. And I will say there was one day in a hotel. I was in Boston, Massachusetts, staying in a hotel. My husband was there for work, and I didn't leave. I made the mistake of reading the reviews in the message boards, and I didn't leave the room the entire day. I think I got a giant piece of cheesecake from the Cheesecake Factory and literally ate the whole thing and cried in the bed and was like, the whole world hates me because I was, you know, all I had been known for was the Disney Channel, That's So Raven, and so it was article after article of, you know, Disney Channel actress destroys Star Wars. And, you know, I will say, if you don't think that the actors and actresses don't read what's online, unfortunately we do. But what did give me sanity is there was an incredibly kind amount of comments that were said. And then I also knew that we were a season ahead. So I just asked the fans, I said, look, there's a lot of great stuff coming. Just please be patient with us and with this character because you're not going to be disappointed. And I think that's what happened. I mean, by the end of season 1 of Clone Wars, I think a lot of people were invested and said, okay, I like where this is going.
I see what you're doing, yeah. What, did you have a moment, an episode, a time where you were like, I see who she is. I really see who she is and where she's going, or like a favorite moment where you're like, yeah, this is what this character is and I can help make her, and got excited about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was always there from the beginning because when you work with Dave Filoni, and you know this, you live with Dave Filoni, he's so inspiring, especially with Star Wars, and he really takes you through the whole arc and the whole vision, and so I always believed, but I think it was the end of season 3 when there was that arc with Chewbacca, and Chewbacca and Ahsoka, and, you know, Chewbacca ended up saving Ahsoka. I feel like that's when she really, I mean, she hit her stride at the end of season 1, but after that, it was like, okay, you know, she's really part of the gang.
Yeah, like she's part of this universe. I think it helps to be paired with someone so beloved as Chewbacca, but then also you'd done all this work, and there you were.
That was, I think, I had gone to Dragon Con that year, and there was a panel, and it was like, you know, the stars of Star Wars, which I just couldn't believe I was asked to be on that panel to begin with. But those episodes had just aired, and they said, oh, you know, Miss Eckstein, go to the back. And so I went to the back, and there was Carrie Fisher and Peter Mayhew, and I'm like, am I supposed to be up there? And I really didn't say a word the entire panel. I sat in between them, and I was like, you know, I had no business being up there. But that was a moment when I realized, I'm like, oh, okay, I think she's a part of the saga at this point.
Mm-hmm. So that's the end of season 3. And then you have another season, and then season 5 comes along, and Ahsoka has to walk away from everything she built. Is that what happens?
Yes, yeah.
And did you know that you were going to have to do that? Or what was in store?
You know, Dave did tell me that. Going into season 5, he told me that, what his plan was. And, I will say, for 5 years, to hear from fans like, we love Ahsoka, but she's got to die. It was, it was just like over and over again. And I always said, does she really? But I didn't know how Dave was going to get out of that, because if she's not in, season or episode 3, so when he approached me with the story and said, well, she's walking away from the Jedi Order, it's like, why did we not think of that before? Because if she's not a Jedi, then she can survive Order 66. So I knew that there were going to be hard episodes. I knew that they were going to be incredibly sad episodes. But, to me, they were hopeful episodes, because that meant that she could survive and, Ahsoka lives and, she could continue on. So it was a very hard secret to keep, that's for sure. Yeah. But it was sad, but very, very hopeful.
Was it just as emotional in the record with Matt as Anakin, doing that as it plays at the end of Clone Wars Season 5?
It was, because I did know, ahead. Obviously, there were some episodes that were, never seen. But as you saw in Season 6, aside from a vision, Ahsoka wasn't in it. And I knew at that point that those episodes were the last episodes that I would get to record with Matt. So they were, just terribly sad. Like, I felt like it was closing a chapter, and, I was going away just like Ahsoka was going away, and they continued to record, without me. And it was, while I was hopeful for the character, it was sad. It definitely was. And that was, right when the transition with Disney was happening, and we didn't know. I literally did not know. I was hopeful we would get more of Ahsoka's story, but I didn't know she was coming back on Rebels. I thought that was it.
Yeah, and nobody did. But then you did for a while know about someone named Fulcrum and who they really were, and that was a secret you had to keep.
Yeah, so when Rebels was announced, fortunately Dave did tell me shortly after. He said, look, I have a plan, and Ahsoka's coming back. And so that was terribly hard to keep the secret for a little while, because, of course, that was everyone's question. It was like, there's all these new characters, but everyone wanted to know, is Ahsoka coming back? Is Ahsoka coming back? So I couldn't tell. But then Fulcrum appeared, and there was that mysterious, or we thought was mysterious, and it wasn't so mysterious because the fans picked it up immediately, her tattoos on the crate. And so everyone pretty much figured it out. And then, I think, who was it? The Wolf Pack, I think, did, was it them? That did modulated my voice up and down. So then they nailed it like within hours. And so just like Ahsoka, they said, that's Ashley Eckstein. We don't know if it's her as Ahsoka or what it is. So then just like Ahsoka, I went into hiding. Like I literally went into hiding because I didn't want to lie and say no, but I didn't want to expose the surprise. So I just went dark.
Yeah. You also didn't want to lie about what Ahsoka's ultimate fate was, or might have been at the end of season 2. And I know that Dave purposely didn't tell you so that you wouldn't have to lie.
Yeah.
And then he purposely didn't tell you so he could torment you about your fate. Did she live or die? I don't know.
Yeah. So, that was, looking back, I am grateful he didn't tell me because I wasn't able to spoil anything. But just so everyone is aware, and I apologize, this is about to be a spoiler zone. If you haven't seen the finale of Rebels, I apologize, it's probably about to be spoiled. But Dave did not tell me what happened. I knew in the finale that obviously Ahsoka and Vader faced off because I did record all of my lines. But the end, as you have now seen, is just music and animation. He didn't tell anybody. Literally, we had no idea whether she lived or died or what happened. I just found out at the cast and crew screening. But before we get into that, we have one more video. Caleb, can you play the video with Anakin and Ahsoka? Let's have a little playback of their relationship before their demise. I wanted to ask about the Sith Lord you encountered on Lothal.
You know we encountered an Inquisitor before, but this was nothing like that.
Ahsoka, do you know who or what he is?
I'm Ahsoka. Master Yoda sent me.
You're reckless, little one. You never would have made it as Obi-Wan's Padawan. But you might make it as mine.
Doing what the Jedi Council says, that's one thing.
How we go about doing it,
That's another.
Ahsoka, I am so sorry for letting you go. For letting you get taken. It was my fault.
When I was out there, alone, all I had was your training and the lessons you taught me. And because of you, I did survive. And not only that, I was able to lead others to survive as well. Thank you, Master.
The Jedi Order is your life.
Ahsoka, you are making a mistake.
Maybe. But I have to sort this out on my own. Without the Council. And without you.
I understand. More than you realize. I understand wanting to walk away from the Order.
I know.
Ahsoka, do you know who or what he is?
Our long-awaited meeting has come at last.
I get the shivers every time.
So, now I will say, Dave has also kept me in the dark of what happened at the end.
Yeah.
You know, is she alive? I mean, I will say, so, we're both wearing this shirt. Yeah, Dave designed this shirt, so if it was unclear, because it was hard to see on some people's TV screens, that was Ahsoka. It looks like walking into the temple.
Was it?
Was it? I mean,
it's funny because we saw this a couple days before it aired on Disney XD. We were at Disney for the screening, and it was the first you'd seen it. You'd seen the whole thing. It was the first I'd seen it. And I just had to sit in the audience and enjoy it and get kind of weepy and be like, I am no Jedi. I know you're so good and strong. And I was so like proud of like Ahsoka as a character. And I saw you waiting to come and take questions and talk at the end. And you were sitting against the wall and you had your arms folded. And this was your face, just kind of like, I don't know what I just saw. You know, and my friend said, well, wouldn't you know because she recorded the dialogue? And I'm like, no, it's not like she records, you killed me, Darth Vader, how could you? Like, that's not how that works. So she didn't know. And I was like, this is the first she's seen it. And I was watching you interpret it. And what was that moment like?
so yeah, I was so nervous going into the screening because I did not know. I mean, all I knew was Dave once told me that if Ahsoka and Vader faced off, it wouldn't be a good thing for Ahsoka. And so I went into the screening really with only that in mind. And my heart literally was like beating out of my chest at that last moment. And then it ended, and literally I was like, what? And then, of course, we immediately ran backstage, and I saw Dave for like 2 seconds before he started the Q&A, and I looked at him and I was like, what? I need answers right now. And of course, I haven't gotten them. So, your guess is as good as mine, and let's open it up for Q&A.
Yeah. So there's a microphone there that it's in the middle of the room. So we can talk all day, and we do, but we'd much rather have questions from you all, mostly about Ahsoka. I could field a couple of, like, what's under Dave Filoni's hat, if you must know. It's actually a beautiful head of hair that has gone a lot grayer over the last 10 years, I'll tell you what. But
Hi. So going online, there's a lot of theories about what happened to Ahsoka, but I'm just curious, what's your theory about what happened to Ahsoka, especially with the bird and probably being symbolic for something since it shows up when Ahsoka's on her own, essentially.
So, great question. And let me tell you, my speculation, there's nothing behind it. It's literally the same as yours. So I'm not giving you any spoilers. I could be completely wrong. What's interesting is I've read a lot of the fan theories as well. I think there's something tied in with the Mortis trilogy.
I agree.
So I think we've probably read some of the same spoilers, and I have noticed that the colors of, I assume, the Convery, am I saying it right?
The Convery, yes.
Yeah, Convery, are the same colors as the daughter from Mortis.
Yeah.
And the daughter gave up her life for Ahsoka. There's something there. What it is, I don't know. Would you like to add to that? Do you have any thoughts?
I don't know. And I would like to emphasize that I am only associated with Lucasfilm by marriage. And actually that Dave doesn't tell me much either. We have long discussions. I think there was a Q&A and people saw a lot of it. He draws a lot from Lord of the Rings, from Tolkien, from that kind of mythology and that level of mythology, from King Arthur, from a lot of transcendent. You can't watch any of Clone Wars or Rebels without looking at symbology. And I think for him, that that Convery, which is like a little monkey owl, because a monkey is your favorite animal and an owl is mine, that it's a real symbol of hope. So I'm hopeful about whatever her next phase is.
And, I think Ahsoka lives.
I think so.
What form that is, I don't know, but I am hopeful we will get more of her, but I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine.
Thank you.
Thank you. I like your shirt.
Hi.
Hi.
I was curious. I read that there was a book coming out about Ahsoka. Do you have any thoughts or hopes for what might be explained in between Clone Wars and Rebels?
Yeah, I don't know much about it, but I do know that actually Dave has been a part of it, as well as the story team. I know Pablo Hidalgo. Anything with Ahsoka I know is very important to Dave, and, it all fits into the overall story. So I do know that he is directly overseeing it. Is that safe to say?
I don't know about overseeing, but he's definitely had a hand in it. And
Thank you.
The author has asked a lot of questions. And I feel like the book is based in part on work written by Dave and Matt Miknovitz, who wrote some really great Clone Wars episodes. So I know that they've been consulting a lot. And the author is really concerned about treating that character right and doing right by her. So I'm excited to read it.
I'm really excited to read it. I definitely know it's sometime between Clone Wars and Rebels, so we will get a little piece of that. The theory online is that Ahsoka's been at a pony farm, just hanging out, eating cupcakes. So, we'll definitely finally get a little bit more during that time, because I only know a little snippet of it. Dave worked on a need-to-know basis. So what we needed for our performance, and I think he mentioned, that wasn't the first time Ahsoka and Darth Maul saw each other. They did see each other in between and right around Order 66. And so Sam and I do know bits and pieces about that storyline that I hope one day will be told. But other than that, I don't know what happened during that time. So I'm looking forward to it.
Nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
First off, I want to say the season finale was amazing. When we saw Anakin's eye through the mask, that was intense. So I just went. But I have a non-Ahsoka question. how do you transition from voice actor to her universe?
Ooh, a great question. I think that goes back to the question or the commentary you were talking about just wanting to live up to the, I guess I feel like, honor that was bestowed on me by being associated with Ahsoka. I feel like Ahsoka represented something so much bigger than her character. I feel like she represented almost like a movement, because I feel like, as we all know in this room, Star Wars is for everyone. I mean, you can't put a gender on Star Wars.
I have a young daughter and a wife, so it helps us have something in common.
And thank you. And that's exactly why her universe came about. Is, I came into, the Star Wars universe as Ahsoka, as I told you, a huge fan. And I was going to all sorts of Star Wars events, and I wanted Star Wars clothes made for me. And I went shopping and came up empty-handed. And I thought, well, this isn't right. Like, there has to be, Star Wars merchandise made for women.
Which I applaud you for that.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. And back in 2008, there wasn't. Literally, you would go on the women's section of StarWars.com, and there was a bunch of men's merchandise in the women's section. And so I did my research and found out that half of all sci-fi and fantasy fans are women. And so I went to Lucasfilm, and I have to give them credit. I said, there's half your fan base is women, and you're not catering to them. And here's this now fan favorite character that is the first Jedi that's a female, that's a lead in your universe, and there's nothing for girls. And so business-wise, once I went about it the right way, they were incredibly supportive. And I have to give Lucasfilm credit, because they were really the first franchise that said, yes, we recognize our female fans, and we want to make sure to cater to them. So to me, I'm just living up to Ahsoka Tano. I mean, she truly started a movement, and really have paved the way where characters like Rey and Jyn, upcoming from Rogue One, are now possible. And so I'm just honored to be associated with the character and to have the opportunity. And I will say, her universe is only possible today because of all of you. I said from day one, I can't do this alone. Her universe is not a solo effort. This has to be a group effort. If we want change, united we stand, divided we fall. And I want to thank you, sir, because not only did the women stand up, but the men stood up as well, just like yourself, and said, I celebrate Star Wars with my wife and my daughter. And Star Wars is not just for boys, it's for everyone. So thank you. Thank you for speaking up, because I feel like we've caused so much change.
Well, thank you, and good luck.
Thank you. Thank you.
I had a question about the season finale of season 2 of Rebels. Was that Matt's voiced with Anakin?
Oh, yeah, that was mashed together, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely Matt's voice as Anakin. And then, I think that...
did they give it to Matt Wood to do? Who did that?
They must have. Well, so the final line where he said, and now you shall die, that was mixed together with James Earl Jones, which I didn't even know. That line, Dave brought Matt back secretly and had him record that. And then merged it together. So that was Matt, and that was a surprise because, like I said, at the end of Clone Wars, I thought I'd never get to record with Matt again, and I truly thought it was a gift to be able to record with Matt again, and one last time with Anakin and Ahsoka.
Oh. Was he there at the showing as well?
No, unfortunately, Matt actually just got a new show for NBC that hopefully gets picked up. It's a new pilot, and so he was in Vancouver filming. So unfortunately, he didn't get to be there, but normally he would be. I mean, Matt's a massive Star Wars fan, and we're definitely all like a family. So he was bummed to miss it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
I just have a question about Ashoka's lightsabers from Rebels. I know that they're not the same as the one she had in Clone Wars. I was just wondering, do you know, maybe you know more than I do, but do you have any theories about how she made those lightsabers or got them?
Uh-oh. I mean, I know they were like based on a McQuarrie design at some point, because Star Wars information just leaks out of Dave's head at night. crawls across the pillow and into my ear, and I just wake up with the sweats going, Mustafar! Like, I don't even know what's happening. So Dave said that we could have a lifeline question, so I can call him.
I think that sounds like a good plan.
Should I try it? Or do you have more? Do you have a better signal?
Yeah, let's try.
Okay.
Okay.
He's homesick, taking one of 3 sick days I've known him to take in 10 years. But he said we'll call.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, can we hold it up to the thing?
You better answer.
Oh, that jerk. Oh, I'm gonna murder you.
What are you doing?
Oh! Aren't you glad I called?
No.
Oh, okay.
I mean, sure.
Save it. I think they like me. I'm gonna start showing up in your hat, and I'm just gonna do all these things.
That's great.
So we're using our lifeline.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah.
A young man asked about where Ahsoka got her lightsabers. Is that the question?
Yeah, the
In
ones
Star
from
Wars Rebels.
In Rebels.
Yes.
Where did she come by those?
Closer to the
She built them,
Oh, there-
of
I don't-
course. Amazing answer, but it's something that we actually discussed up at work, and we're looking at a way to kind of bring a little bit, maybe, of that story to surface. There's always an interest in around how Jedi get lightsabers, and we'll have to see where we could figure out how to tell that. We're always working on, I'm always working on her story prior to, what you witnessed in the finale. I think it's important to start to understand all of the stories that went on for that character up until she went on to Rebels. So, we'll have to see if there's a way to figure it out to get the story to people. But there's so many forms now of media to tell stories in beyond just, film and television that hopefully something will appear in the future where we can tell some of these smaller stories. It's really because fans have expressed such interest in Ahsoka that I think it's really broadened. And one of the results is this book that we're doing, which tells a portion of her story prior to Star Wars Rebels. How's that?
It's okay.
Yeah. So you answered the question without answering the question.
Typical Dave Filoni.
Lengthy answer. I'm not going to specific. It would be really, imagine the disappointment of actually answering that question. So by the time if it wound up in something, you go, oh yeah, Filoni told us about that over the phone at Emerald City Comicon. So all the beautiful filmmaking or writing or wherever it appeared would be like, oh yeah, I knew that already. That would be kind of bad.
Well, thank you for jumping on the phone with us. I think we have a room full of about 500 people here that love the finale. Did you guys like the finale?
Well, that's good. I really appreciate that. This is so bizarre. I can't believe I agreed to this with both of you. How are they? I don't even want to know. I'm just glad you didn't FaceTime me.
They're raps, Dave. That's amazing. They're hanging on every word, just like I do.
Yeah. Oh, good.
I'm sorry you don't feel well, but we can let you.
Let's see your sarcasm's landing.
Yes.
Very good.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Feel better. Feel better. And everyone say, Ahsoka lives. Okay, bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. What?
Is he like that all the time?
Thank you.
Do you think Ahsoka will ever be able to beat Darth Vader in a face-off?
Ooh.
Well, call Dave back? I think Dave touched, I can't really, I don't know. But I think Dave touched on it a little bit in the video, actually. I think if there's anyone truly equipped to take on Darth Vader, it would be Ahsoka, because he trained her. So you only know someone's weaknesses if they kind of teach you. So I don't think she could ever beat Darth Vader, because obviously, as Dave said, of course, Darth Vader could take down Ahsoka, but I think she would know his weaknesses, probably.
I mean, I feel like that's how she's stuck in so long in that fight in the finale, and I don't know that really her point was to exactly defeat him.
Yeah.
She wants to save him.
She wants to save him. I think, I don't really, I can't really answer that, but I think one thing that became very obvious in the finale is I think Ahsoka does feel some sort of guilt for leaving him the first time. I do think she wonders if she had stayed, could maybe she have saved him from turning into Darth Vader. So I agree with Anne. I don't think she wants to defeat him, but I think that's why she said, I'll never leave you again, because she regrets what happened before.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, silly question, but if you could sort Ahsoka into any Hogwarts house, which one would you sort her into?
I know what I think it is.
Yeah, why don't you answer that?
Gryffindor. Gryffindor.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
I have to admit, I am a Harry Potter neophyte. So my sister is a massive Harry Potter fan, so and so is Anne. So between the two of them, they are training me in the ways of Harry Potter.
I almost did this panel in my Professor McGonagall costume, and then I thought, it's a little bit much. It's a little much.
So I'm going to take Anne's answer on that one, because I'm still learning. But I do have a room underneath my staircase that I am going to turn into a Harry Potter room. Oh. So I am becoming a massive Harry Potter fan. So I'll have more opinions on that at the next
Do you
panel.
have a theory on what house she's
What do
in?
you think?
I was thinking either Hufflepuff or Gryffindor, but yeah, Gryffindor makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, she's so brave. Not that Hufflepuffs aren't. I like Hufflepuffs. They get a bad rap. I think I'm secretly a Hufflepuff. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. And not a silly question at all.
No.
Hi.
Hi.
I just want to say one of the things I like about Ahsoka is that she's the only Jedi that you've really watched develop, not in leaps and jumps like Anakin and Luke, where there's big gaps between in their training and you don't really know what's going on there. So I really appreciate that about the character. So since she's been developed so much and Disney's loving to do their standalone movies now, do you think they'll come to you and say, hey, you want to get dressed up as Ahsoka and make an Ahsoka movie, maybe like what happened between Rebels and Clone Wars?
Oh my goodness. Well, I can tell you I certainly wouldn't turn that opportunity down. That would be incredible, but I trust me, that's not in the works. I have not gotten that call. So, but I think what's exciting about Disney now, owning Star Wars is, and Dave alluded to this, there's so many different ways they're telling stories now, and we're getting so many of them. I mean, we're about to get an Ahsoka book, and so I'm just hopeful, whether it's me getting to play her or in some other form, I'm just hopeful as a fan of Ahsoka that we get more of her story. So I am hopeful that happens one day, and hey, if they ask me to do it, you would hear my scream from around the world. But I just am hopeful for the character. It does happen.
All right,
thank you.
Hi. So I was actually wondering what your interpretation of Ashoka and Barris's relationship was, because I found their relationship really fascinating, even the small little tidbits that we did get throughout the show, and the fact that they're such foils of each other with where Barris ended up and where Ashoka ended up.
Gosh, can we call Dave back? Because, he has so many great things to say about this relationship, and some things even, I don't know if I can say this, even changed with her storyline as it evolved. So
was that the end of season 3 or 4 that were the Barris Ahsoka?
It was at the end of 5. So
Five
it
or
was
five?
5.
Oh, it's 5. I have it all messed up.
Yeah.
I know. I just rewatched them because they're my favorites.
Well, yeah, but was it season 2
It's five,
or
it's
season 1? So they had 2 major storylines. I
Right.
think that's what you're thinking.
Oh, okay.
There was the part with like the brainworms, like the crazy thing, and then at the end when she betrayed her. So, you know, I don't want to speak too much and maybe get in trouble by Dave.
I'll take care of Dave.
Yeah, of what happens because okay, well maybe I'll just go there. Originally, she was actually going to die in that arc at the end, and she didn't, and that was changed. I do know that. So, gosh, if I get a call from him and he's like, Eckstein, but I know she was extremely betrayed. So they had if there was, I think friendships and relationships are obviously different, you know, in the Jedi Order, but that was as close to a best friend, I think, aside from Anakin, that she would have, and that was the ultimate betrayal and definitely led to her walking away. So, you know, I would love to get more from that relationship, but
do you think she walked away because of the betrayal, or in some part was like, well, she went about this horribly wrong, but Barriss has some points about what's going on with the Jedi Order?
No, you're absolutely right. I think a lot of what, you know, Barriss said really got to Ahsoka and did kind of play a big role in her decision to walk away. So I wish I could answer more, but, you know, it definitely played a huge role in the season finale.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Hi.
Do you think that, Ahsoka would maybe appear in not like 8 or 7, but any of like the Rogue One movies?
We should call back Dave Filoni. You know, as I said, I don't know. Like, I don't know beyond what I've recorded. I don't know the future. And they work on a need-to-know basis. Mm-hmm. So if they are considering her for the movies, your guess is as good as mine. I hope we get to see more of her one day. I really am hopeful, but I don't know in what form that will be.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
I was wondering, do either of you know where the name Ahsoka came from?
Yes. That is a question.
I'm excited when we get a question we can totally answer.
And it's so funny because at the season finale wrap party, I was in the car with Henry Gilroy, and he went through this whole story about it.
Mm-hmm. You do it.
Well, no, I think I'm going to leave out details, so let's tag team this because Ahsoka's name was going to be Ashla. Mm-hmm. Which is that character in episode 2, that little youngling.
Yeah. But then is it Ashla that's the original name for the Force in early drafts of Star Wars, of the first movie, of A New Hope?
Oh.
I think it was like a name for the Force.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then stopped being that and just became the Force.
Oh. See? Awesome. Okay, so yeah, it started with Ashla. Then there was an Indian warrior queen or something named
He was a king.
King.
Yeah.
Oh, a king named Ashoka. And George Lucas, Henry was saying that, you know, they were trying to come up with a name, and George pulled a book out and said it's going to be Ashoka. And then it was, I guess, Henry and Dave that said, no, we like Ahsoka. And I guess the first couple episodes, Henry was saying that George kept on scratching it out and saying Ashoka, and Henry kept on scratching it out and saying Ahsoka. And finally, I guess Henry and Dave won.
Yeah.
But
which is very unusual, but yes, they did win. And I like Ahsoka, but
yeah, me too. It fits.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. Who's your favorite Star Wars character that is not Ahsoka?
Ooh, definitely R2-D2. R2-D2. I used to want to be R2-D2. I love R2-D2 and I love BB-8, but I'll always be partial to R2-D2. What about you?
Oh, I'm pretty into Chopper these days. He's such a jerk.
Sounds good. What about yours?
That's not Ahsoka because obviously it's Ahsoka. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I got Jen all the way.
Good choice.
Hello. So I've
Hi.
been watching Clone Wars since the movie, and I've just loved it. And like, it's probably my favorite TV show. And Rebels is just amazing because of all of you guys and Dave Filoni. It's just amazing.
Thank you.
I just wanted to ask you, what was your favorite episode from Star Wars: Clone Wars? Because I sort of feel like Star Wars: Clone Wars got cut short. I was definitely a fan favorite. But what was your favorite episode, either to voice or just that you liked, even if you were in it or focused or not?
Well, I definitely love the finale, but aside from the finale, it would definitely be the Mortis trilogy. I think as a fan, as the story, it really blew me away. I thought the animation was gorgeous. I thought, the performance by Sam Witwer and Matt Lanter and James Arnold Taylor was all incredible. I loved, that Ahsoka went to the dark side. We saw older Ahsoka, and it was just a fascinating story. So if there is some truth to the fact that there's something tied in with the Mortis trilogy, with Ahsoka walking away and this bird and the daughter and something, that would be really cool because I've always loved those episodes.
All right, cool, thanks.
Thank you. Oh. Last question for.
What do you think Ahsoka would turn into the dark side?
Do I think Ahsoka would turn to the dark side?
Yes.
Ooh. I definitely do not think Ahsoka would turn to the dark side. I think Ahsoka is a representative of good and of the light side of the Force. That's my opinion. I think there's something tied into her search for knowledge and, maybe wanting to help Darth Vader and Anakin Skywalker, but I think she's far from the dark side. What do you think?
I think she wouldn't because she's good.
That's a good answer. That's a good answer. Thank you.
Hi there.
Hi.
So what was your reaction to the new Rogue One trailer? What did you think of that?
I thought it was amazing. I will say that as a licensee, we get advance kind of sneak peeks of things. So I got my first sneak peek of it back in December. I didn't get to see a trailer, but her universe we are designing for Rogue One. And so we had to get started a while ago. And I can tell you that as a fan, I'm so excited about it. I think it's a story we've been wanting to see for a long time. And there's some new things in there that definitely blew my mind. So I don't think we're going to be disappointed. Did you like it?
Yeah, I just love anything Star Wars. So.
Yeah, it's definitely an exciting time to be a Star Wars fan.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi. So this is a less serious question. Are you familiar with Hamilton at all? Because a lot of people on the internet have pointed out how the entire Ahsoka Barriss betrayal, I'm leaving thing is basically 3 episodes of the song Burn.
What? Wow.
I'm erasing myself from the narrative. Let future historians wonder how Ahsoka reacted when you broke her heart. You have torn it all apart. I'm watching it burn.
I have not heard this theory.
I mean, I know it's not like where it came from because that was way before Hamilton happened, but just the parallel, and I'm wondering if you're familiar with Hamilton at all, or that song.
The last I'd heard, Hamilton had a lot to do with Kanye West and Kim Kardashian's relationship. So I'm really relieved to hear this theory. This is exciting for me.
Yeah, you know what? You kind of just blew my mind, and I'm going to go research that tonight. So, no, I'm not familiar with it, but I'm extremely intrigued, and you have a beautiful voice. So thank you for singing for us, and I can't wait to read all about it.
Yeah.
So thank you.
I think we've run out of time here, but what a wonderful way.
What a wonderful way to end it. And before we go, I just want to announce a couple things. I know several of you have asked me if I'm signing autographs. Right now, I am going to autograph table 26, so if you did bring action figures or anything, I will be there. And then as Anne mentioned, so for Her Universe Press, she wrote a book called The Confidence Chronicles that is coming out later this year, and Dave is doing illustrations for it. It is amazing. And if you want to hear more about the books we're doing for Her Universe Press, and if you also are a writer and you're interested in getting your book published, whether it be through Her Universe Press or another publisher, we have a panel tomorrow from 1:30 to 2:30 in room W603. So definitely come check it out. You're going to hear more about Anne's amazing book and a new book we're doing with Heather Newfer called Weirdest. So come check that out. And thank you for coming.
Thank you.
So, and Ahsoka lives. Thank you.